Welcome to Chapter 1. The headline of this chapter is the question, what are open educational resources? The OER concept has been around for more than 15 years. Following the first official definition we can see in this picture, specified by the UNESCO in 2002. Open educational resources are teaching and learning materials that can be freely accessed, used, modified and distributed by anyone without charge. The creators of these materials make use of specific licensing models that were designed to regulate the continued use of free resources. A particularly suitable license system for this purpose is provided by the non-profit organization Creative Commons. David Wiley outlined 2014 a useful categorization of OER characteristics based on the 5 R's of openness. Educational material needs to fulfill these 5 criteria in order to be recognized as a true OER, which grants any potential user the following liberties. Retain the right to make, own and control copies of the content. Reuse the right to use the content in a wide range of ways, for example, in a class, in a study group, on a website, in a video. Revise the right to adapt, adjust, modify or alter the content itself, for example, translate the content into another language. Remix the right to combine the original or revised content with other open content to create something new, for example, incorporate the content into a mashup. Redistribute the right to share copies of the original content, your revisions or your remixes with others. For example, give a copy of the content to a friend. Any material that can be used for the purpose of teaching or learning is an educational resource, whether in printed or digital form. This typically includes various types of texts, essays, handouts, books and others, and teaching materials, presentation slides, worksheets, syllabi and so on, as well as pictures, music, videos, podcasts, blogs, apps and websites. Even entire online courses can be provided as OER. What are the benefits of OER? First, free access to free education. When learning materials are released as OER, a larger group of users can access them for free. This means that a higher number of people can benefit from the educational content, which is a good thing for both learners and teachers, because ultimately everyone profits from the strengthening of an open exchange of educational resources. Quality improvement. When users are allowed to not only access but also modify educational resources, it is easy to keep the contents up to date or to improve and enhance them. There is little reason to believe that freely available material indicates a lower standard of quality. In fact, the reverse appears to be true. When someone decides to make their own creations available to the public, they tend to focus even more strongly on aspects of quality. Expansion of didactic opportunities. The modifiability of OER also implicates that they can be readily adapted to fit the conditions of different learning settings. They also facilitate the inclusion of students in this adaptation process. Since the overwhelming majority of OER is produced in digital formats and distributed online, their use in higher education often fosters the implementation of open and innovative learning scenarios, based on concepts such as blended learning, flipped classroom, and so on. And last but not least, more visibility for equality teaching. Teachers who create their own learning materials and distribute them as OER can expect to reach more people with their contents, other lecturers and students, as well as anybody who is interested in the subject matter. As a consequence, the efforts and the achievements of teaching staff can be seen and appreciated beyond the classroom, which can be useful development in an age of increasing digitalization in higher education. Trouble ahead, the challenges of OER material. What does this sentence mean? There's a great need for the creation of new materials. If more people contribute the work, more resources will become available and the situation will improve. Educational materials that are released as OER usually do not undergo any formal kind of quality control like most of the whole web. As a consequence, the final assessment of all quality issues is the responsibility of the user. And when you're looking for useful educational resources online, you will find out there are many collections at different locations, so-called repositories. It is necessary to develop some experience and familiarity with OER websites in order to find the desired contents. Using and creating OER materials might be an exhausting experience, but it is always worth trying and pursuing the idea of sharing. After all, you can also get feedback on your own teaching materials from other teachers, and so you have the benefit to develop them further.